My prison number is U288
number U047
U89/9.
Number yange y'obusebendi U2.
I'm serving a death sentence on murder charges.
Abbreviated Robert.
charged with the crime of murder.
Omusango gwa kutta.
These are part of the 148 inmates on death row in Uganda, incarcerated at Luzira Maximum Prison.
If tomorrow they signed an execution warrant, I can assure you that we would carry it out, because the scaffold, this is the equipment which we use to execute the death penalty, is functional. The executioner and his assistants are available. It takes us only 72 hours to prepare a person to be executed.
But some want this form of punishment abolished.
The whole argument about retaining the death penalty can no longer hold today. Our viewpoint is that it has not been a deterrent against crime. Countries like Uganda must embrace the most civilized form of punishment, which is life imprisonment.
Uganda last executed someone in 1999, but recent hints on a resumption of death by hanging opened fresh debate and fears.
It threw prisoners into panic. Many of them came around me and they were like, Mudola, twawulidde omukulu ng'ayogera ku TV bagenda kuddamu okututta. Twatidde ne tuddukana nnyo. All through the week they had diarrhea.
They are on death row with a fate hanging in balance.
The Death Row Dilemma in Focus.
This Kampala suburb is best known for the country's only high-security level-grade prison. Luzira Maximum Prison, aged with activity from industries, a port and a swanky residential community, is where the most notorious convicts are locked up. All Uganda's death row inmates, who are only male for now, are here. Over 3,000 men caught at the end of the justice system now call the upper prison their home, some for a while and others for a lifetime. But the 148 death row inmates inside these walls are daunted by the reality that this could be their very last stop, when, however, is a matter of pen to paper. Following a spate of murders in the country, both civilian and high-profile, on 18th January 2018, as President Yoweri Museveni officiated the passing out of 900 prison warders, he sent in a strong warning to criminals that he still had the powers to sign off on executions.
Because I have not been hanging these people, because of my Christian I would have become a bishop if God had not sent me some. But I think being too lenient is also becoming a problem. Well, the criminals, I think that they have a right to kill people and then just keep their own heads. So I think I'm going to revise a bit and hang a few. Because we must hang some of these people. They are, if you see the way they kill people, they are really, they need a lesson. We have been too soft. I think they have misunderstood it.
Uganda has taken on an abolitionist position on the death penalty law.
We still have the death penalty on our statute books. And we still have instances of people being sentenced to death. If tomorrow they signed an execution warrant, I can assure you that we would carry it out, because the scaffold, this is the equipment which we use to execute the death penalty, is functional. The executioner and his assistants are available. So if I got a duly signed death warrant, signed by none other than the head of state, it takes us only 72 hours to prepare a person to be executed. We would carry it out. We have not had execution of anybody in our facilities since 1999. This is, I think, 20 years ago. So it's I would call it a moratorium of some sort.
You are isolated from your community, from other prisoners.
Petride Mudola, a journalist with a new vision, had a rare opportunity of meeting one of the men who execute the death sentence at Luzira prison. Her story, titled "I Am the Hangman at Luzira," would later win her acclamation at home and internationally. 4 years on, Mudola describes the meeting with the man who has over 100 kills as freshly frightening and haunting.
You could judge from the looks, it was as if he was in the act. He told me he had killed over 100 people by the time we met. And he was telling me that he has the art of killing. He said this is a technical job. He's employed to do that.
But the hangman last received execution orders 10 years ago. Into the millennium, calls for the abolition of the death penalty gained traction with civil society organizations and human rights groups leading the cause. Following numerous campaigns and lengthy legal battles, a glimmer of hope in their cause was registered in the 2005 ruling of Susan Chigula and 417 others versus Government of Uganda. The Constitutional Court ruled that the death penalty, though constitutional, was not mandatory but discretionary. Those who were sentenced to death but were not executed within 3 years of sentencing would now be handed life imprisonment carrying 20 years. After serving this time, they would be released. Another principal outcome of the Susan Chigula case was the reversal of sentencing guidelines in relation to capital offences. July 11, 2010, Uganda is hit by terrorists. 74 people are killed, 71 left with injuries. The masterminds of these heinous attacks are arrested and arraigned in court, kick-starting a lengthy judicial process. After proving their case, prosecution prays for a maximum death sentence against the suspects.
For us, it is a maximum sentence for a number of offences, the capital offences, and it is our duty to ask for it.
But Justice Alfonso Winyi-Dolo in his judgment gives the 7 convicts life imprisonment on the basis that this sentence would be more of a punishment than the death penalty. The sentence, however, did not go down well with many Ugandans who hoped for an eye to compensate their loss. According to a 2016 survey by Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, an opinion poll on death penalty, 36% were in support of the punishment. Their reasons were that such a sentence would ensure that perpetrators pay for their crimes, especially in cases where people were killed. Others reasoned that it would reduce crime by setting an example for would-be offenders and thus eliminate hardcore criminals. Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma, a lawyer from Toro Kingdom, is part of the 64% not in support of the penalty. However, his story is one of loss and pain.
He was this jolly person, very hardworking, and he was a loving man. He loved his family, he loved his people, and we really miss him. When I got the news, actually I wasn't here, I wasn't in the country when I got the news about his demise. But yes, I just asked myself, who would harm this man? Up to today, I really ask myself that question, but I'm trying to, forget what happened. But yes, at that time, I asked myself, who could have really thought of harming this guy?
His brother, Prince Charles Happy Kijanangoma, was shot dead at Palace View Bar in Futpoto on 25th March 1999. A murder, as court would later find, was masterminded by the kingdom's Prime Minister, John Katuram.
The people who did this are people we knew, people we even talked with, interacted with. It is something that was very, very difficult to understand and to fathom. And I remember it really took us a long while, to come to terms with it. But we are Christians.
On September 12, 2001, court sentenced Katuramu and 2 others to death. In a sense, justice was served.
But at one time you're like, okay, this person took away our treasured person. This is blood that was shed, innocent blood that was shed. Yes, you're like, okay, yes, they deserve this. But then again, you go back and ask yourself, as a person, do I continue feeling good that he is in prison? After all, my brother wouldn't come back to life.
18 years later, John Katuramu remains in prison after his death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment for 20 years in 2009. A pardon from the aggrieved Kijanangoma family should by now have let him off the cuffs, literally.
Well, if the president has been waiting for the Kijanangoma family to say that they forgave Katuramu in order for him to be released, for us we forgave him. So it's actually incumbent upon the president to forgive, to release Katuramu, or to make him stay there and serve his entire prison term. But as for us, we forgave.
The dilemma now lies in the interpretation of the law.
So when we talk about life imprisonment, we need to be very clear. Life imprisonment can mean the rest of your life. But life imprisonment in Uganda, according to the Prisons Act, means 20 years. So after 20 years, once you have served 20 years successfully, you can be released. So again, that's what it means. But of course, following the Susan Chigula ruling, the Supreme Court has had a challenge of elaborating what actually life imprisonment means. Because today people can be sentenced, for life. Life meaning 40 years, 70 years, 90 years. People, they are sentenced to all manner of, sentences, which makes it quite ridiculous. So we still need to streamline what actually constitutes life imprisonment or imprisonment for life.
When Susan Chigula ruling was made, I got an interpretation from the Solicitor General that when we are commuting, when we are counting life, those who had been committed to life imprisonment, we should use our prisons law, which indicated that for purposes of remission of a sentence of a prisoner, life imprisonment was deemed to be 20 years. Okay? And that's how people like John Kamya, people like John Katuramu benefited from that ruling. But later on, there was a ruling in reference to a case of Tigo or Tiago, Uganda versus Tigo or Tiago. And the Supreme Court pronounced itself on this matter that life imprisonment is life. Now we have submitted to the Law Reform Commission so that the Parliament can interpret what life imprisonment means.
But for John Katuramo, a beneficiary in the Susan Chigula ruling, in 2 years, he should be a free man. His impending freedom, however, opens fresh wounds in Kabarole district.
Has contributed to the kingdom. Abandi nibagamba even if he had contributed to the kingdom tasemire kwita muntu. So among the Babito, that division was atandikire mu Babito bonka. Na batoro and other batoro on behalf. Abandi bagamba lese development in VOT. Abandi bagamba habara lese VOT kimanisa ita abantu. Kundora process yo kuganyarangana. Chakwe kuba publicizing ngo balekere Katuramu. Nyo habwange nkirintekereza no bana bamulekera. Banija toro they don't even celebrate for him but they Ija unko muntu wabulikira atija unko katugambe nka hero. I think that's not good.
Nangwa atarugayo. Ikaleyo batamwita bitikaleyo wali fuera wenka.
Katura mna yokufuira. Abukuba na wakaita. Neyo boreita neyo bakuita.
The way they killed Kidangoma was also so brutal. They killed him with over 50 bullets in his body. That was so shocking. And remember killing him, celebrating even slaughtering a goat for the killers, it was not also good. As if you have killed someone, killed like what?
Basemi munkomo bakumuchuera basemi kumwita. Abwensongo bokumusiba isuru omuntu. Ubaramusibe myaka 20 nangana agaruka kandi umuzego kwitana gubagumulemu nangana ito omuntu wondi. Nyoni ngamba kakuba omuntu gwene ito omuntu hano muyanga Uganda semi kumuchuera ogukufu.
Contrary to the 2016 survey by Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, findings by the judiciary portray more Ugandans in favor of the death penalty.
The Constitution of Uganda provides for the death penalty. The last time an opinion poll was done, the population of Uganda, I think about 75% were in favor of the death penalty. We are servants of the people of Uganda. If the people of Uganda want the death penalty, we are going to ask for it.
Tibet, not his real name, was sentenced to death 8 years ago. On a fateful Thursday in 2010 on Chemui village in Kapchora, events would align to forever change the course for his life.
It happened that in my home district, one day, it was a Thursday, I had gone to my working place and somebody was shot dead in my trading center. And people who rushed into the scene saw the man dead, and some who came after claimed that they saw me, yet in actual sense I was not at home. Going back home, I just landed up in a police patrol and they arrested me saying that I'm the one who shot the other man and killed him. Yet I was not at home and I did not know even how it happened. Because even in the working place where I was, we always register that you are there and the time of leaving.
Tibet's claims of mistaken identity would now point to a lapse of justice.
That one alone makes me feel like kumbe they can kill some people even innocently. Police can move around, arrest people, put in prison, and charge them.
He vehemently believes that his legal representation in court was below par.
The court process was not fair because of poor representation of the state lawyers that were given to me. Because if they had represented me well, I wouldn't have ended up on in prison serving a death sentence.
We try to do the best based on the evidence that is collected by the investigators. And it is my belief that the investigators do their best to collect evidence based on the capacity they have and the information and the skills.
The police has a very weak investigative capacity. Actually, research has shown that that is their weakest point. They are very weak in terms of investigations. And as such, they also contribute to the overcrowding we are talking about and the delay in delivery of justice, because they are a very important player. They are the ones who are supposed to arraign people. They are the ones who are supposed to investigate the cases. And if the information or the evidence is not adduced sufficiently, it becomes difficult for the judiciary to make to do their part.
Crusaders against the death penalty fear that the punishment risks implicating the innocent.
Nasalwa omusango ogw'okufa olw'okutta omuntu gwe baali banvunaana naye nga gyali mulamu. Baali bagamba natta omwami bamuyitanga Jijiri Omwandi akayafa kati. Nagendayo ne tumubba. Oluvannyuma oba nga twakatuukayo namufumita ekiso. Bwatyo bwe bagamba. Naye nga ebiseera ebyo yaliyo. To imprison someone who's charged or someone for nothing, it is not easy.
Mpaji lost 18 years of his active life innocently facing the gallows in isolation, mentally tortured and counting down days to his end at the height of executions.
Ne bw'oli obulungi ne bw'okola otya nga kijja mu gundi n'olya ng'omutima gwonna gutidde. How is it coming next? Bw'oli abakonkonezi gino nga leero bazze. Bw'olaba abasirikale abapya nga leero bazze. Bw'olaba abagenyi bonna ab'enjawulo abatotegeera buli nga leero gubadde. Kyekyali nga mukondemu ekintu ekizibu ennyo. 82 nasuliranga ddala ku gaalo gye battira abantu gye twasulanga. Kati ngo waliwo ebigi baali babimenyaamenya mu lutalo lwa 79. Kati ng'olabira ddala gaalo bwe ziri 3 bwe ziti n'olaba waayimirira n'olaba ebintu ebiri ku kisenge awo kuba kizimanyo. Bwe baba bagenda okutta waliwo kaakalina. Kati abagenda gye bayita exercise kati bakola exercise nga bapiikinga bagenda okutta. Ne babatwala waggulu batta olwasooka batta 3 baddako badda 9 baali bajja kuba 13 naye abamu baali bafudde bulwadde. N'olwaddako batta 9 baddako badda 3 olwasembayo batta 28.
While all this may seem behind him now, the time he spent separated from his loved ones can never be salvaged.
We believe that if you punish crime, then more logical, reasonable people will avoid committing crime. But if you let crime go unpunished, then more people are likely to commit crime.
So for all of us who are campaigning against the death penalty, our viewpoint is that it has not been a deterrent against crime. The president can argue that yes, the only way to deter crime is to execute these people. But I want to assure you that that has never shown to be an effective form of deterrence. In fact, even states that for a long time were known to execute people who commit such crimes increasingly are joining the bandwagon.
This police crime report released in 2018 showed increase in homicide, kidnaps, sex-related crimes, break-ins and armed robbery. Some of these offences attract the death penalty.
Before prison, I was a law enforcement officer. I was handed a death sentence, which was unfair. and excessive.
On 15th January 2014, Kakoza's case would be brought forth for judgment. A justice of the High Court family sentences the man in the dock to the maximum penalty. His actions were regarded as uncivilized and barbaric.
I was caught up in domestic violence. He killed my wife in the process, and that's why I'm charged with the murder.
Leading up to this crime, Kakoza had learnt of his wife's affair with a local businessman. The once happy couple was now bearing a bitter marriage. On the 13th day of August 2012, Kakoza nets his wife sneaking around with her lover. The heat of anger, he pulls the trigger 1, 2, 3, 4 times. His wife of 9 years, now gone, Kakoza scampers in confusion to drink away his pain. In cuffs, he is whisked away, an innocent man, until court proves him guilty.
It was not fair because I pleaded to self-defense in excessive force, which would have led the offense to manslaughter, but I was not given that charge. Instead, they confirmed the charge of murder, and I was sentenced to death. The evidence for self-defense was clear. I also had one witness who also testified in court, but still the evidence on the defense side was not looked at, the best mostly on the prosecution evidence.
But 2 witness accounts corroborated against his self-defense argument. Kakoza, who now awaits an appeal hearing, seems to be broken by his actions.
Because I've learned very many things in prison, and I've learned that breaking the law is not something good. Heavenly Father, in the name
he now finds solace in the different prison reform activities he is involved in.
I joined the university program, of which I started with the certificate course, and progressed well, and I got a diploma, and I learned to make handbags, necklaces, wallets, and the key holders, which I feel is a new thing to my life. It gives me hope, but I don't know the outcome of my appeal to come.
Although rehabilitation for death row inmates may at first seem a misfit, it goes a long way.
It's a dilemma that rehabilitation ordinarily is supposed to be for inmates, in this case prisoners who are serving a certain term of imprisonment, whose period of completion of sentences is known. First of all, the presumption of innocence does not end, in the context of rehabilitation, does not end with a person being convicted. Because someone can be sentenced to suffer death. Who knows? He goes to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal releases him. Now, or even if it's not released by the appeal, maybe the sentence can be quashed by the Supreme Court. So if you don't prepare, if we take a perception that, oh, this is a condemned, should be exempted from any kind of rehabilitation, what kind of person are we going to release to the public?
The prison's authorities have thought critically on how to execute reformative activities to tailor inmates for the world outside while conditioning them to abide by the rules.
Engaged inmates, engaged prisoners in productive activities are well manageable compared to those who are not engaged. When the engagement is likely to yield returns, immediately or in the future. So you would wonder why a condemned inmate is going to school. Yes, some go to school. They acquire certificates. They do the national examinations.
It is from such engagements that the famous Susan Chigula, an ex-convict serving a death sentence that was later commuted, now has a chance at a second life. While in prison, Chigula started studying a law degree and plans to open a law firm where prison lawyers represent inmates that cannot afford high legal fees.
What I'm going to do different is that I'm going to agitate for the rights of the marginalized who cannot afford attorneys, who cannot afford lawyers, whose rights have been abused every day, especially the women and the children.
It's no surprise that Uganda Prison Services is applauded for having an exceptional correction system in Africa and the world.
Uganda Prison Service has the lowest recidivism rate in Africa, about 20%. In other words, out of 100 inmates who come to prison are convicted and rehabilitated, only 20 come back. And it is the lowest in Africa. It is the fourth lowest in the whole world.
Calls to maintain or abolish the death penalty have been registered in equal measure. But with state prosecutors still asking for the maximum sentence in the courts of law, some would say it's just a matter of when, not how, the next inmate on death row will be executed. And the dilemma is in waiting.